So where were we? Ah yes, the Earth. A planet formed from dust, rock, and chance, sitting at just the right distance from its star, not too hot, not too cold, with liquid water, energy, and time. And for a while, nothing alive existed, just chemistry. Atoms bonded and molecules formed, and over time, some of those molecules became more complex. They formed chains, structures, and eventually systems, groups of molecules interacting in consistent ways. In the oceans, with heat, light, and constant interaction, these molecules were constantly breaking apart and reforming. And at some point, something unusual started to happen. Some of these molecules began to copy themselves. Not perfectly, but close enough. And that changes everything. Because the moment something can replicate, it can evolve. Each copy isn't exactly the same. There are small differences, tiny variations. Some of those variations make the structure more stable, more likely to last. Others don't. The ones that last continue. The ones that don't disappear. There's no intention behind this, no awareness, just a simple pattern. What works stays. And over time, that pattern becomes what we call evolution. At first, life was incredibly simple. Single cells, barely more than chemical systems that could sustain themselves. But even simple systems can change. They adapt, compete, and respond to their environment. And over long periods of time, some of them began to work together. Groups of cells started forming more complex systems, eventually becoming multicellular organisms, living things made up of many cells, each performing different roles. For a long time, life stayed in the water. And over time, some organisms began developing structure, ways to move, to support themselves, to interact more effectively with their environment. Early vertebrates appeared, with basic internal frameworks that allowed for more control and movement. And yes, these are distant relatives of what would eventually become us. Not humans, not even close, but part of the same continuous chain. Eventually, some of these organisms began exploring new environments, shallow waters, the edges of land, and eventually, land itself. But moving on to land required change. They needed stronger structures to support their bodies, ways to breathe air instead of extracting oxygen from water, and protection from drying out. Through small variations, repeated over long periods of time, those traits gradually emerged. Not all at once, but step by step. To survive in more complex environments, organisms needed information. So systems evolved to detect what was happening around them. Sensitivity to light became vision. Sensitivity to vibrations became hearing. Chemical detection became smell. And alongside these abilities, something else developed. Responses. What we call emotions. Fear helped organisms avoid danger. Pleasure encouraged behaviors that supported survival. Aggression helped protect resources. Connection made group living possible. These weren't random feelings. They were functional. Tools shaped by survival. At first, life reproduced by simply copying itself. It was efficient, but limited. Because when copies are nearly identical, change happens slowly. Then something new emerged. Two organisms combining genetic material. This created more variation. And more variation means more chances for useful traits to appear. So over time, sexual reproduction became more common. Not because it was always easier, but because it improved long-term survival. For millions of years, different species dominated the Earth. At one point, it was dinosaurs. They were large, powerful, and highly adapted to their environment. and for a very long time, they ruled the land. But dominance doesn't mean permanence. The Earth has gone through multiple extinction events, massive changes that wiped out huge portions of life. These came from climate shifts, volcanic activity, and asteroid impacts. The most well-known is the asteroid event that contributed to the extinction of the dinosaurs. And when they disappeared, something unexpected happened. Space was left behind. Opportunity. Smaller organisms, like early mammals, survived. They adapted, evolved into new forms, and began to fill the gaps left behind. And over time, some of them developed something different. Not just the ability to react, but the ability to predict, to anticipate danger, remember patterns, and plan ahead, and eventually, to think about thinking. From this long chain, humans emerged, not suddenly, but gradually, with larger brains, more complex communication, and advanced social behavior. And something else, awareness, the ability to reflect, to question, and to try to understand. But even now, we don't fully understand it. How does matter become experience? Why does any of this feel like anything at all? We can trace the steps, the chemistry, the biology, the evolution, but that final leap is still unclear. So from simple atoms to self-replicating molecules, to evolving life, to conscious beings, this entire process was built on variation, selection, and time. No plan, no direction. Just possibilities being explored. And one of those possibilities is you. And now, the universe isn't just existing, it's aware. Through us. But awareness led to something else, understanding. And once we began to understand the rules, we started to use them. This is Mind in Lines, making sense of people. Kind of.